This video is dedicated to James Humphreys. James, thank you. Vishgraz versus Braids, Urtet, and partners Vial, Smasher and Kydel. We've got fast mana there into Yawgmoth, which is good with our might tokens, so I'm going to keep that. I have a feeling that Braids and the partner player are going to be pretty strong decks, so yeah, we'll have to see how we fare here. Seeing an expedition map on turn 1 from Braids. And we draw into Phyrexian Crusader, could go for that next turn, so let's use the Windswept Heath to grab a Tricycle land. And then we see a Cabal Ritual from Braids, so that is a turn 3 commander for them. And they did sacrifice the expedition map, so going up to 6 cards in hand. And there we see an Infectious Bite for us. So we'll get our double black on the go here. This can just be a scrub land. Then of course it is Mana Crypt, and we'll play out the Phyrexian Crusader ready for swinging in next turn. We get a Mana Crypt from the partner player as well, so we're going to get a strong game by the looks of it. And they play Kydel, Chosen of Crufix, to get the Summoning Sickness away from that thing. Mere Sire for the Mere player. Then it is a Demonic Tutor for Braids, and taking him into a Mana Crypt, then managing to make a Swamp as well, so if we did get rid of the Braids, then they will be able to replay it again straight away. Don't think they're going to sacrifice anything here though, at least. Okay, they do get rid of a land. We will certainly not do that. So Braids having to discard a Lake of the Dead to hand size. Okay, and there we see an Abzan Charm. So yeah, as much as I'd love to go for my commander here, my better judgment is telling me to go for the Infectious Bite. I think we can swing in towards the Braids though, we can try that. Alright, so they do decide to block. Braids gets a couple of minus counters on it before it deals damage to the 2/2, thanks to the first strike on this thing. So I think, yeah, I think we're fine to go for our commander here then. A second commander for the partner player, Vial, Smasher the Fierce. And Kydel holding back, not challenging the Braids player to block, most likely because there's a bunch of Toxic and Infect in play. Seeing a Silvermere from Urtet now, and he is playing the correct artwork, the originals. Awesome, we see a second tutor by turn 3 from the mono black player. And there we see an Ugin's Nexus from our opponent. So they're going to be getting an extra turn here when they sacrifice that. I think we're fine to sacrifice a Might here to keep our opponent off a card. And yeah, there we see the Toxic Deluge, which is what I dare say they tutored for. So definitely slowing us down. Following that up with a Sensei's Divining top and a Peat Bog, spinning the top. Okay, we get into another land ready for our commander next turn, so that tempts me into Yawgmoth Physician, which, yeah, I don't really like just having it sat there for a turn cycle, but that means that we're sort of protected against Wrath Protection. If we get our commander into play next turn, we can sacrifice our entire board and refill our hand. So, yeah, I'm going to go for the Yawgmoth here, and we can at least hold up Infectious Bite. More Infect in the form of Plague Mere from the Mere Tribal deck this time. We saw a Phyrexian Arena from the previous player. And the mono black player went for a Damnation to get rid of the Yawgmoth. Decided not to use the Infectious Bite on the token. Could have had some Infect counters on my opponent, but we're not going to be proliferating really in this deck, so we'll save it as a removal spell. Alright, a Cloud Shift now, which we won't be able to play, I don't think. Yeah, we'll have tapped out here, so Shock in the Shockland. Go for the Vishgraz again. Alright, and the spiky mono black player just decides to scoop it up on us. Didn't fancy his odds, apparently. Wasn't going to bother showing the chat because it's just petty bullshit, but yeah, just to put context to the way that this player has just scooped on us, and then the way he's behaving in the chat as well. I feel as though some of you might find it useful to put players like this in your banned list if you want to. Obviously it's no skin off my nose who you play with, but I think some of you find that information useful. So we see the Vial Smasher, and there is a Nature's Law as well from the partner player. A Sun Touch Mere now with 2 plus counters it will enter. Okay, and a Return of the Wild Speaker is nice, so I think it's time for the Infectious Bite onto this thing. We can get it out of the way, and then it will give us something to proliferate with the Norn's Choir Master. So yeah, I think that's the thing to do here. Vishgraz onto the Vial Smasher. And then throw out the Norn's Choirmaster. Each of our opponents have an Infect counter on them now, thanks to the Infectious Bite. So now we can deal some more toxic damage to our opponents. I should probably concentrate on this player, which actually, yeah, I think I'm going to do. They've got way more mana over here. That triggers the Norn's Choirmaster, because our commander is attacking here, so an extra poison counter over here and over here. Have to be really careful with your clicks on Magic Online, because when you're proliferating on players, it doesn't make it obvious for some stupid reason, so hopefully that registered, and yep, they go up to 2 apiece. Once again, not holding up the Cloud Shift, but I don't think it's necessarily the end of the world if we end up losing our commander. We've got stuff to do regardless, even if we do lose that. So our opponent up to 6 Infect damage, and our commander is now an 11/11 with Menace. Kydel into play once again. Is this the second time it's come into play? Yeah, they've put 6 mana into that. Our other opponent's cool at least, having some fun in the chat and complaining that I didn't put an extra plus counter on the Mir over here. Struggling on lands over there though, unfortunately. Turn 6 and only 3 lands. Could have done with the mana dorks over there. That is a Mir Propagator this time. Only 2 cards in hand. Okay, and we're being allowed to untap, so we do have the Cloud Shift up. Draw into a Mondrak, which might be useful to us. I think we're best just going through to combat here, and hopefully we can get through all of our creatures. We'll pull that one back, and yeah, I don't think it matters if we hold it back. We'll just swing in over at the Mir player, but hopefully we're going wide on our partner friend over there. So swinging in, proliferate, and we'll put a plus counter on the Mir. We are going to get a pretty big debuff on the Vishgraz if we manage to get rid of the partner player, but I don't think it really matters. Our opponent graciously takes it and goes down to 11 Infect, and I think we're fine holding up the... should have gone for the Return of the Wild Speaker before we knocked him out actually, but Vishgraz is still a 6/6, so I think we're fine just holding up Return of the Wild Speaker and Cloud Shift, and the Abzan Charm. Our opponent managing to get into the 4th land. There is an Urtet, Remnant of Memnarch. We can grab ourselves a Return of the Wild Speaker now, draw cards equal to the greatest non-human's power, and then I think we're safe to use the Cloud Shift now on our commander. So Norn's Choirmaster will proliferate because our commander has entered the battlefield again. Obviously Vishgraz comes in with more tokens, and I'm not going to proliferate onto the Mir this time. So our opponent's at 4 Infect. Okay, drawing into Venerated Rot Priest this time. So we can drop a Plains. Want to make use of the Sword of Hearth and Home here, so we'll put that onto the Phyrexian Angel. And it's pretty mean, but it hasn't exactly been a fair game anyway, so if you're seeing this one, apologies, but this is the best game I got. Not a lot of people like to play against Infect, so they don't stick it out, unfortunately. We'll get rid of the Sun-Touched Mir, the 3/3. And then I'm pretty sure we've got our opponent at this point proliferating thanks to swinging in with our commander again. Norn's Choirmaster's been pretty good this game. But at least 2 of our opponents took it in good stride. Our Angel will hit first with the first strike, so we get a token. And Norn's Choirmaster will proliferate thanks to the sword flickering our commander. So they go up to 6 before any damage is even dealt. We did just remove our commander from combat, but we get them at 11 anyway. Yeah, and they had a Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. That's an interesting one for the Mir deck. And an Hour of Promise as well, so might be some kind of combo variant of Urtet. Unfortunately didn't see it here thanks to it being a pretty one-sided game in the end on my part. Managed to struggle through a couple of board wipes and a bit of a spiky mono-black player. But yeah, not a particularly satisfying game. So again, if you're seeing this one, it's the best of a bad bunch. It's the best I can get in an Infect deck. So hopefully you all enjoyed it regardless. I'm Tribalkai. Thank you for watching.